Joe, Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe, Gage, Max, and Joe. YouTube live show with Gage, Max, and Joe. Never fired up and ready to go. Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe, Gage, Max, and Joe. Gage, Max, Joe, Gage, Max, and Joe. YouTube live show with Gage, Max, and Joe. Never fired up and ready to go. Gage, Max, and Joe.
Namaste. Welcome to another episode of Out of System. We hope you enjoyed that little tidbit there.
To you all.
I'm joined Joe. How we doing, man? Chilling?
I'm doing great, man. It's a good week for us.
It's a good day for it. Max, how we doing?
Dude, got a great show ahead. Dustin Watten's going to be on. That's going to be
freaking fired up. That's going to be something else, man. I mean, I'm excited to talk about him. Like, I've seen his volleyball side, and you see he posts about all his meditation, all his vegan appetite and whatnot. And I think it's gonna be a very interesting show. It's not just gonna be volleyball, but it's gonna be psychedelic. It's gonna mold reality. This show right here, Out of System, is gonna
Woodstock 2.0.
Yeah. I'm joined here by my club here. I just got a golf club. So in California, you're allowed to go to the driving range. What are you allowed to go to hikes, driving range, and then you're allowed to go on the golf
Singles volleyball.
Singles volleyball, exactly.
Singles, not doubles though. You can play one-on-one volleyball.
So I got my lofty friend here. It's a 56. I have no idea what that means. I was hitting this about 150 yards the other day. With this.
Oh.
Look at it scoops. I don't know what
Attaboy.
it's supposed to be.
Little scooper.
It's a little pooper scooper.
Little
Okay, I
scoopy-doo.
use my dog, dude. my dog pooper scooper here. All right, guys. So we're gonna have a good show again. Dustin Watten later on the show, but first. We promised you guys a totally exposed, so we're going to give it to you guys. First one is from Macy Chapman on the floor right here. Again, thank you for the submissions. We're going to scroll over, Joe. We're going to pull it up for you guys. Just give it a second here. Just give us a second. Macy Chapman here. We're going to see what this is. All right, let's see what happened here. Let's move this camera, though.
Transition.
Oh,
Yeah, I love to see that. And then
So
the
that
reaction
might be her teammate though, Emily. Emily,
Tesois.
we apologize for the pronunciations, but that's one of the other. We had a double submission from this person. It's one of the other. I think both of them are involved that play. I think one's the middle, one's the center. So I actually had a situation when I was 15 years old. First play of the game, ball comes over the net. Instead of setting the ball, I catch the ball. I just stare at the ball. That was the first point of the game. My middle game in transition, that was that. So that catching the ball, I think, is worse than that. I would say for the.
You just caught it.
At least you try to put the ball over the net. You know, and in most gyms, that right there, usually that's donuts. I think you owe donuts for the team. You put the ball under the net.
And
that didn't hit the net.
I thought it was only serving.
No. If you do it anywhere, if you hit it.
Wait, hold up, Joe. You just grabbed the ball out of the air.
I grabbed the ball. I wasn't even thinking. The ball came to me. I wasn't even thinking. I just caught it.
That's like the least. That's like the least Joe thing I've ever heard in my life.
I know.
Wasn't totally engaged.
I've done that. I've done that in soccer one time. I remember because it was when I was younger, about 8 or 9. The ball was bouncing high and it hit me on the mid chest, and it was like, and I just caught it because I was like thinking volleyball, I was thinking soccer. It was just a big mess. Thank you for submission.
We have a double submission though. It's the same duo on the next video here. We have both Macy and Emily here back-to-back videos.
Oh, here we go.
With another awesome
so
turn from the service line here.
Let's see, number 6. I like this number.
Number 6. Now this I'm pretty sure is Macy. I'm almost positive. Her friend Emily submitted this. Macy doesn't really know she submitted these videos, but I think that makes it better. But I'm pretty sure this is Macy here serving the ball.
I like the number, and it's a 6-second clip as well. I like it already.
6.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Oh, that's a donut opportunity right there.
Impressive.
That was not a donut though. It hit the bottom of the tape.
That's true.
Oh, you're saying if it hits nothing whatsoever.
It has to go under the net.
Okay.
I realized
I'm sure her coach for sure let her continue jump serving.
That's got to be like one of those ones where at the end of the game they just kind of let him just top and just.
Yeah, they're just blowing a team out.
That's always make for the best serves. Like,
all right, go ahead, jump serve.
Luckily, you're either getting killed by a lot or you're winning by a lot.
Coach is like, all right, the whole bench is jump serve, jump serve.
All right, so So we've been lucky enough to be on the good side of that, being the team that's winning by a lot. So we've had people against us who are losing by so much. I just see them. They're turning the coach ball. Let me do it. He's like, yeah, sure, we got another one here. And they go. I've seen some interesting serves. We're all just like, oh my God, did that just really happen?
You gotta appreciate they're just still going for it though that late.
Oh, for sure. I love
full send.
I mean, what else are you gonna do in that situation? Might as well just try and walk it off best as possible here. Okay, Joe, this is actually from your teammate. This next one.
So my teammate from this past season, Martti Jukami, he is from Estonia, and this was, I believe, from 2015. I want to say is a Champions League match, and what that is in Europe, just like in soccer, there is Champions League for volleyball. So the top teams from all the countries throughout Europe, the club teams, they play each other. This match here is between Innsbruck from the top Austrian team and Antwerp, which is one of the top teams.
And he's
out of what?
He's hitting out of the Bic or the middle back, yeah.
He's the pipe attacker
on the far
here.
side.
Yeah,
On the
so
far
let's get
side.
this rolling. He's in blue. That's Innsbruck there. We're gonna take a look here at him. So he's on the pipe. Ball gets set outside. It's a high-level game here. This is for the team who wins goes to the next match. He hits the pipe. He's the back row player. And he hits the idiot!
Oh,
What are you doing? Oh my God! Exposed! Oh! Idiot!
See that
Oh my
replay.
God, let's see a replay here. So he's coming on the back row. For those newcomers to volleyball, if he's in out of the Bic, and then he's a back row hitter and just hits the overpass. What are these times?
So anybody who's not sure exactly what just happened there, if you're a back row in volleyball, you're not allowed to go attack the ball at the net there like he just did. So he hits and he texted me that he just had a brain fart basically. He wasn't even paying attention. The ball comes over, he just hits it, and I'm sure his teammates are just staring at him
I
like,
wonder what you would.
He was too in the zone. He was just ready to kill anything in his way there.
Dude, Max, that's like you, man. Whenever there's anything's coming at you, you're just absolutely ready to detonate it. I remember we were in practice one time, and it was a close game, and the A+ side was kind of kicking our butt. It's not really a close game. And he went, and he got a kill from the pipe to end it. And then we're just like, oh my God, because you served, and then you hit a Bic, and you got a kill.
I was like, Jakob, give me the pipe, give me the bat, give me the ball. Give me the ball.
Oh man, what a good time, man. Oh gosh, this has actually been pretty fun. Totally exposed.
some good submissions.
Some good submissions. Some sorry for we butchered your name, guys.
Yeah.
But
We're pretty good at that. We're not good at a lot of things, but we're good at butchering
Yeah.
names.
Butchering
sure.
names will for sure pronounce it wrong if you give it to us. Send us the phonetic spelling of it when you send your
The
name.
phonetics.
The actual.
the double E's and the O's.
Maybe we'll get it then.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, this has been another segment of Totally Exposed. Once again, send it to any of our accounts. You can get a chance to put it on here if you want to. I like Chapman's idea of just putting on her friend without her even knowing.
We like
respect that.
those. We like exposing people when they don't know. So if you have a
Exactly.
friend that you want to expose,
There's a
send it
secret-
our way. We love doing that.
There's a hidden video out there. Definitely send it our way, or just anything. Like I said, if you're just doing anything stupid, just send it our way. We'd love to kind of critique it and match it, and then go above it.
Match.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna get on to the man that needs no introduction. We promised him. We're gonna give him to you, the honorable, knighted Dustin Watten. Dustin, how's it, man? How we doing?
Having the best day ever. How we doing?
I'm doing. Hey, that's you know what? Max is the only other person I've met. When I ask him how he's doing, he's like, "This is the best day of my life." You know what? And you're another person. I respect that, man. I respect that. Mad
Yeah,
props to your
absolutely.
ways. So
Yeah. It's up to us, right? It's up to us to perceive life.
absolutely, man. So I hear you just got kind of off a call with Adidas, and coming from a volleyball players themselves, I was wondering how does one get sponsored after college? Of course, after college, when it comes to kind of promoting your brand and who you are and whatnot. What's the kind of the road you kind of took to kind of get into sponsorship from Adidas?
I got you, baby. Once I'm done playing, I'm gonna start. I might start my own agency, and I'm gonna go after you first. And I think maybe when you sign up for me, I'll give you that Adidas contract. And we can go
Oh,
from there.
come on, hooking it out. Like, see, this is the perks of a show right here, getting the connections.
Uh,
I like that.
I gotta give credit to where credit is due. Thomas Jaski was the first guy to go after Adidas. He went after a sales rep in California, and Russell kind of followed, and then I was like kind of like hanging on their coattails. And so there wasn't like an Adidas like program at the time or anything to do with volleyball. And then after, I think, 1.5 years doing that, Christine Selby, who runs it now, started it. And they had a team of 4. Now it's down to 3. But yeah, they've just been crushing it and have some pretty cool ideas going forward with Adidas and just trying to give back in this time, right? It's like kind of a time of lack and scarcity and hoarding. So it's just like, personally too, it's just how can I pivot, or it's like, how can I just give everything back? And then working with Adidas, they have such great people behind them. And so hopefully, it works out with the brand as well. They have a lot of stuff that I have to clear it with overhead, but just give back.
Right. And you kind of answered my question there. I was like, so you basically, obviously you have to have a certain, what's it called?
Stature.
Status when it comes to getting, because I know like Mike is sponsored by Nike too, right? Like there's a couple different kind of brands floating around the gym, and then the Shojis are by ASICS, right?
Yeah.
So it's like they reach out to they reach out to the company, so that makes sense. We're gonna kind of,
you're really good at volleyball, or you have to have a beautiful shaved head.
Doesn't,
what you want to do.
I have a question. Do you ever shine? Do you, or even John Sprout, since you guys are both rocking the bald heads, do you guys ever shine your heads before games? Good question.
Of course. I mean, there's no other way to do it. I got into the game like a little slow, doing like the kind of like the regular razor, and then I got like a electrical bald head razor, and now finally I've seen the light, and I just do the straight shave, and it feels so good. And when people will have the courage enough to actually touch it, and they're like, "Oh man, it feels so good," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, you have the opportunity too."
Exactly.
And so it's pretty funny. Actually, in Poland, my nickname there is Wissy. It's like an L with like a line. It's like a W sound, Wissy, and it just means bald. So that's just my.
I love that. So
that Polish sense of humor. I love that.
Yeah, the best in the world for sure.
So we're gonna kind of later in the interview kind of get into the volleyball aspect. So we want to kind of talk about I guess not philosophy, and we got a philosophist in Max over here. Philosopher. See, exactly. I'm clearly not the philosopher in this group right here. I'm gonna kind of turn over to Max here to kind of ask a few questions about your mental preparation and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. So one thing that I think draws a lot of people to a lot of the content that you put out is how much you reference like Stoicism and Marcus Aurelius. And I guess I would love to have you have the floor here and just talk about why you think that ideology lends itself so well to athletics or volleyball in particular.
Let's see if I can show it. I got him actually right here.
Oh, that's the man himself right there.
I see.
I got Marcus Aurelius tattooed on my body. Stoic for life. Let's go.
All about it.
Dedication.
I mean, so, there's so many stories I have, and, I'm sure both of you guys are going to encounter these as well. We're overseas and just like, everything just falls by the side, right? And so there was one year, and it was after, let's see. So trying to think how I phrase this story. And so, there was 6.5 years where I was in the USA gym, and I didn't even train, right? I didn't even train with the one team. Like 6.5 years just wiping the floor and calling lines. And like maybe if someone was sick, I would play. My first 4 years, I was with Alan, and there was Alfie and Rich, and I never played. It was just those two guys, and I just called lines. And when I got to the gym with John, the first conversation I had with him was like, "Hey, we have 3 liberos, and you're not one of them." And I was just like, "Can I just stay in the gym and like help?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." So 6.5 years, I was in the gym, right? And I don't say this for pity, but just to kind of lay the story. So that 6th year in the gym, I got to go on a trip. Reed was hurt, right? And they were traveling on the second libero. Eric got hurt in the stands, and I had to play. And I'll always remember the look from John, because I was like, do I have to play? And everyone's like, oh, I don't know. Like, we're trying to get a look from the bench. Like, looks really bad. Because Eric, like, gashed his knee open. And I always remember the look I got from John. He turns around just in pure horror, like, oh, my God, I have to play Dustin. And I'm just, like, sitting there like, So anyway, long story short, I went in, played pretty well. The next game I had to start, played pretty well, got the bronze medal, went to the World Cup, and it was just like salvation. I did it, I accomplished everything. Like, I am a man. Like, I am success. Team USA, like, I've done it. And then I went to my professional team, and we went 1-19 to start the first 20 games of the season. Not just that, my teammates were jerks. One day I got fined 100 euros because no one would pick me up. I didn't have a car. And they're just like, sorry, it's not on my way. Coach always yelled at me. My girlfriend for 6 years, we broke up. Really didn't have any friends. Team sucked. couldn't get extra reps before the gym. Management sucked. The management didn't even care. They like won playoffs on accident, and so they didn't even want to be in the first league. And just everything outside of me came crashing down, right? Called my agent, get me out of here. I don't deserve this. Like, this is awful. Like, I was like, the weather sucks. Like, so stupid. Like, there's the weather's fault, you know? And so I called my agent, and this is Gage. This is who you're gonna be working with too once we sign you. But very good guy, very stoic Finnish guy. And he's like, okay, you know, if you want a solution, I'll find it. Just take some time to relax. And I was just like, get out of here. So next day I went to a cafe because it was after a game, and I brought this book, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And I just realized that just like prescription glasses, you know, there's a different lens for life. You know, I was playing a victim. I was playing one searching for pity, you know, someone who I needed my ego fulfilled, when I realized that this could have been, you know, a perception of opportunity, of challenge, whatever it may be. And so at that time, you know, I don't know, people out there know about my list. I had this list, kind of like a habit tracker I started making my second year in Finland, again, where everything was going wrong. And I was like, I'm not going to get another contract. And I'm in the lowest league in the world, so my career is going to end. So I created this list. And at that time, it was like maybe 20 things in France. And I wasn't really, I just wasn't working in alignment to who I believed I could be or what I said I would do. And so reading Marcus Aurelius and Meditations, just really reading a couple quotes, because in that book you can pick it up anywhere and get a lot of value. Reading that, I was just like, damn, like, I'm not a quitter. Like, never in my life have I quit. And I'm like, I'm not going to quit again, and just help me perceive life a different way. And then on top of that, I was just like, I'm going to do everything on the list every single day for 3 weeks, and I'll see what happens. And so from there, it was like, great. I went home, went to bed, woke up early, meditated, made a good breakfast, you know, roll out my body, clean my house. After weights, my coach didn't want to wait for me to condition, because I wanted to do the USA condition. I'd go in the park and run. It was like freezing, but I'd do my sprints, come back, I would juice, watch video. I didn't have data volley then. I watched like full matches. I couldn't get extra reps before the game, before our training, sorry. And so I would warm up in my house. And so when I got to training, when everyone else was warming up, I would get my extra reps. Meditate, stretch before bed, cut off blue light, get good sleep. And I just did everything I knew to the best of my knowledge that was within my control. And after that, every day was the best day ever. It didn't matter what was going outside of me. It mattered what was going on inside of me. And again, how weak am I as an athlete, as a person, to have things outside of me go my way, to go my personal preference, for me to be happy, for me to be whole, for me to be confident, for me to work well. No way. It's up to me. And I had that choice, and I eventually realized it was my choice. And since then, every day is the best day ever. No matter what's going on inside of me, I'll figure out a way.
Right. Wow. Love to hear that. That's really cool. I feel like there's a lot of parallels between the meditation techniques that you've used and a lot of the Stoic philosophy and having like an internal locus of control and just the whole ideology. And I wanted to know also where it blends in with, you said you made the transition to going vegan. And I heard you mentioned that before.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Internal locus of control. I think I'm going to put that on my IG handle. I think there's going to be a huge success. I love that. So yeah, I mean, the big thing in Stoicism is just like having more tranquility, right? There's so much of our stuff out of us that we can't control. Talking to youth athletes right now, I've been doing a lot of Zooms, like just zooming my freaking brains out. But the dichotomy of control, and it's something really interesting. It's something I didn't even learn until last year, right? There's some things, and this is going to be great for you, Gage, and on your journey through Team USA and professionally, there's some things that are completely within our control, these things that are up to us. There's some things are not completely within our control that are not up to us. What is not up to us? No matter how hard we train, we prepare, we work, it's not up to us if we start. It's not up to us if we come off the bench. It's not up to us if we play well. It's not up to us if we get selected for a USA team roster. It's not up to us if we get a big pro contract. Or if people are even nice to us, right? It's not up to us. But when we naively have an attachment to how these things should work because of how we are as a person, now we suffer because of it. The resentment, the anger, resistance, right? And it bleeds us. It bleeds us of our time, of our energy, our focus, and our confidence. Rather than realizing this, and then realizing the things that are completely within our control. What are those? my ability to set goals, my attitude, my effort, my intentions, how I am as a teammate, right? Everyone always has the choice to give, to be loving, to be compassionate, to be supportive, especially on the bench, right? You have the opportunity. We can be like this, or we can be like this, you know? It's up to us. And then, of course, we also have within our ability to perceive external circumstances, no matter if they're good or bad, we have the opportunity to perceive those. And to navigate that, again, with the most confidence, focus, and clarity possible in alignment to who we believe we are and the values we have as a person.
And I have something that kind of ties in because I see a lot, you do a lot of talks and you interact a lot with junior organizations or programs and different clubs around the country. And for me, something that I see actually more often now that I mean, I've done a little bit of that too, just interacting with people now that we kind of have this thing going. We've had people reach out to us, and something that I have come across is kids who they're financially kind of still linked to their parents or their parent. They don't have that same support system. And for me, I see the top athletes, that support system for them is so crucial to their to why they are where they are today. For you, what is your recommendation for how they handle situations that they don't have the most support from home or from their friend group or whatever? How do they deal with those situations? Because I think that's the toughest. Is like whenever even the people that are closest to you still don't have that same kind of support for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's difficult for me to say because I've always had my parents' support. And when I talk to kids, I talk about I had this growth mindset from such a young age where my parents weren't like, you won or oh, you lost. It was like, we're proud how you competed. Or they would say, we are not proud how you competed. Because when I was younger and I played beach, I was the guy that like punting balls. Like I was the person that said like the C word after like missing a shot. I was a punk. And so this was great because you know what? How I competed was within my control, right? And so always had this love and support, and it was easier for me to fail and get back up, especially because when I first started, I was awful. And I was awful when I first started. But the big thing is just realizing, and again, with Stoicism, with Buddhism, philosophy, we have much more control than we think we have, and we also have to surrender things that we naively believe we have control over, right? Support from our parents and friends is not within our control, right? But every day we have a choice. Waking up, every moment we have a choice. Do I journal? Do I go on Instagram? Do I wake up and meditate? Do I go on Facebook? Every moment we have a choice in alignment to our best version and the things that we believe we have to commit to grow. And whether that highest version, maybe it's like an astronaut, president, professional volleyball player, but each and every day we have the ability to take steps and make choices that align ourselves to that version. And so there's a lot of things I can recommend: journaling, meditation, creating a list, but just being conscious. And at the end of the day, recap, maybe you didn't do the things on the list that you said you're going to do. Whatever, have compassion to yourself. Everyone messes up, People are really, 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 really hard to find compassion for ourselves. It's easy for us to have compassion for a teammate, right? We're like, hey, get up. But for ourselves, it's hard. But again, at the end of the day, if you aren't doing those things, have compassion for yourself. But at the same time, step up. Look yourself in the mirror. I said I want to be this person, and I have to do this. I didn't do it today, so tomorrow, you know what? I'm going to do it because I want to live in alignment to who I believe I can be.
Right. So I kind of have a question. You kind of mentioned the bringing the stoic mentality into volleyball and surrendering anger and having compassion for yourself. And what I kind of realized was sometimes when because I fully believe that, right? You need to kind of forget about the last mistakes, control what you can control. And I'm all about that. But something I guess that I kind of struggle with sometimes is maybe not surrendering all that anger, because sometimes for me, I felt that if I was like too chill, then I wouldn't be motivating. So how would you kind of, advice-wise, how would you kind of go about, balancing having compassion, but also still having that drive to still like be like, okay, that was not exactly, yeah,
Still
not
having
Using
an
that
edge.
anger for something positive. You're saying.
exactly.
Absolutely. And anger can be a great thing for change, right? And if you look at my videos, there's a lot of moments where like, I kind of do it like egotistically, where I show like the celebration. And there's times where I'm like the 12-year-old Puerto Rican, like running around the court, right? Like this.
Right.
And there's other times where I'm like this Brazilian, like, like just angry. And I always go back and forth. Like, what's the best for me? What's the best to continue that energy, right? Because I think energy is real. So to continue that, the one thing with anger, it's like if you leech it out to the other team, where you're like, I used to do this a lot when I was in college. Like for people who know me in college, I was a freaking punk. Like cursing through the net, yelling, but leeching that anger out to the other side, like, oh, don't serve me, or like, I told you, right? Now you're leeching that anger out where you keep it to yourself and then let it go. But the big thing for me is not necessarily compassion or anger, it's presence, right? Presence, having that stillness. My favorite author, George Mumford, talks about being in the eye of the tornado. You know, what's a tornado? It's like these thoughts, these negative thoughts that we aren't conscious of, catastrophizing thoughts. You know, I'm sure you've had times where you 2 bad passes in a row and, okay, the coach is like, hey, next ball. But inside your head, you're like, man, you know, I'm messing up, or like I'm blowing it, or, you know, how am I going to get a pro contract? You know, am I going to eat tomorrow? You start catastrophizing, you know, like crazy things. And I've done this all throughout my career too. I played with so much shame and anxiety. My year in Brazil, it was like freaking wild. It flipped me out of a growth mindset into a fixed mindset where I believed I had to be good to be loved, to have successful. And again, you know what? What's not in my control? To play good. It's not in my control. There's way too many other things. And so anger is great. It's a catalyst for change, right? Being too angry, I don't know, because now we're not really present, right? We're thinking like, oh, I told you, or like, I'm going to get the next ball. The big thing, we want to be present point by point. And actually, I think I think, Joe, you do a really good job of being present, and just this calm breeds calm mentality. And I like the way that you lead on the court. Most of the time, you don't really have to say anything, but your body posture and how you move, you know, what you do with your hands, I really like that a lot.
Yeah, no, that's something to be honest, like you were talking about when you were younger. When I was younger, I was the exact same. When I was really young, I was an a-hole, and I had my dad coached me most of my junior year, and so he had to really change that about me too, in terms of like how I led on the court, and so that's important. And it's interesting because I don't know if you got a chance to see The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, but they talk about the recent episode this past weekend, how what separated him from everybody else was he was just always present, no matter what. Like he was always like that competitive edge. He was always on, and you don't get that with anybody who's not an elite athlete. And so it's really interesting to hear that from you also. It's kind of the same message.
Yeah, it's also, and I think the biggest thing is also it's infectious, right? You have that presence, but right, you don't do it without your team. And if you can spread it throughout your team, I think that's what makes the best leaders and most successful people. And I think you know that out of anyone, right? Like changing.
You also have to keep your teammates present, right? So I talk about this a lot. Our team this year in Poland, we had it was completely rebuilt. Like everyone bailed, and the club director had no idea that everyone was bailing. And so they had to build a completely new team. And my agent put all of his players on the team. He convinced the team to take all of his players. And it was just like, we're going to build a team of character. And everyone was like scoffing, like, what a dumb idea. Because it was a bunch of like third middle blockers and third outside hitters from the year before. And one guy I played with, who was a good friend, had been like a third outside hitter, not a second setter for the whole time he's been in the Plus Liga. And you could see he starts the game off, two balls dug, you know, maybe a ball blocked. And the fourth ball, he kills it. But when he comes down, you can see he's in the pass, like, oh, about time, you know? Or if you're playing a lower ranked team and you guys barely win, you're like, oh, you know, I can't believe we just won. And so with him, the way I keep him present is I just shove him. And he has to be like external, like, what are you doing, you know? But the energy, I'm like, you're the freaking man, like, let's go. And he's like, yeah, you know, I am the man, rather than being like, oh man, I'm blowing here, like I'm looking, like about time. You know, there's different ways to get people present. A lot for me is just like, just kind of mirroring what they want to see. It's just like calm. It's like, we got it. You know, if someone gets ace, it's like, you know, I'll give them like that flaky ball, like, come on, bro, you got it. And they're like, yeah, instead of like looking at them like, yeah, man, you just got ace. Like, you're really messing this up for our team. And so not just for me being present, but, you know, I really push a lot into this. And so I think as a libero too, you have to bring different things to the team. Alan always told me from a young age, if you don't talk, you're not going to play on the team. And so that next day I'm like, you know, as loud as I can, I'm like, I want to play. And so there's different things you can do as a libero and as a setter that makes your team better. I think Kavika does a great job of this. Micah does a really good job of this too. It's not just how they set or their placement or what they can do on defense. It's how they lead. And this is so big to have your team be able to overperform. And a lot of people talk about the end of the game. I talk about the middle of the game, right? Giving up those 4-point runs, giving up those 5-point runs. You know, if you're just a little more present, you have more leadership on the team. If your team is always coming together, something I learned from playing with the Slovenian national team setter, is like non-negotiable. Everyone comes together. That's it, you know? And just being present, being just a little bit more focused, a little bit more confident as a team, and you don't give up those runs. And you can stay in the game later and let that other team kind of falter and give up runs.
Right, right. I kind of noticed that, especially in Europe, especially. I mean, I've yet to play there, right? Actually, going back to that, I think that it was interesting. Because the only reason I made a team when I was younger, a U.S. like junior team, I was definitely not the best libero, but I was just screaming my head off and just like getting kind of everyone pumped. So I think it was kind of it's funny how you bring that up. I was like, that's exactly how I felt for sure.
That energy goes a long way.
Yeah, I see a lot of myself in you. I like how you play the game. And again, these things are in our control, right? How hard we scrap. You know, in college, I sucked at defense, right? But in my senior year, I was second in defense in the country. I'm like, wait, what? But I refused to let the ball hit the ground. You know, I wasn't a great digger, but I just didn't let the ball hit the ground. This is something in your control. How you order your team around, put the blockers up, make them screen, talk about it, get people fired up. These are things in your control. You don't have to be good at volleyball. You can be 5'1". You can do these things consistently, and this brings more character to your team.
Right, right. And I kind of want to bring it back here for a second because I remember you mentioned this in the first about 10 minutes that we were talking here. But you mentioned how you kind of got blue light out of your life. And recently, I just got some blue light glasses. And this guy got me on about blue light. And so I've heard many things. I've heard, okay, it's real. And I use them every night. It's real and it's not real. So basically, can you give us a backstory and your opinion on the blue light and the blue light glasses here?
Yeah, blue light, it messes with the melatonin production, messes with your hormones, right? So we get a little blue light and red light from the sun, but you know, after dark, you know, when things go down, it's like when we're supposed to go to bed, you know, like how our ancestors worked, you know, the light goes down, you go to bed. We still have this blue light, and now our brain doesn't really know how to process it, and we believe it's still the sun. And so our body pauses this melatonin distribution to our body. And so we put the blue light on. The big thing, if you can, you just cut it off altogether. But if you can't, then you put the glasses on. In America, for whatever reason, I'm like really bad. But in Poland, like I'm just like money, where it's just like, all right, this happens, glasses are on. This happens, everything's off. And just the big thing for me is sleep. Like it's just, especially being overseas where the routines are so similar and so the same. Like if you get good sleep, you're going to be great. You're going to have that foundation to dominate, whether it's on the court, off the court, getting stuff done, like you're going to crush it. A lot of guys, they stay up late, and after that first practice, they have to nap. You know, for me, I got my first contract when I was 24, and I was playing in Finland. And then I played in Finland again, and then I played in France B. So, you know, 27, and I still haven't played like in a real like league yet. What do? I just like, whatever, I'll just play in France B the rest of my life. Like, no, BS. Like, I'm going to find ways outside the court to be better. So sleep is one of them. Getting good sleep at night, I'm going to recover better my body, my brain. And then not having to take a nap, I can spend that time working on my craft, studying video, studying myself, studying other teams, reading books. And so finding a way to play catch up.
Right.
And also when you talk about sleep stuff, I wanted to ask, I noticed you had something on your Insta page. It was like a mouth covering that was supposed to be for your breathing for sleep. Would you mind telling us a bit about that?
Yeah, I love it. So we get more nitric oxide breathing through our nose, and there's a lot of other different benefits. But I don't really like it right now because I really like where my mustache is, and it doesn't really work with my mustache. And so I'm like, a little like pissed off about it.
Gotcha.
You got to get a hyperbaric chamber.
You ever floated before? Have you ever?
Floating's awesome.
Because I see like a lot of people like it's just I've never been in one, and they put it. It's at was it room temperature or body temperature? So you're just kind of floating, and then after a certain while, you just feel like you're just like gone. And is it like it's pitch black in there, right? So you can't see anything. You just kind of.
There's one right by Anaheim. Yeah.
Have you ever? What's the longest you ever been in one for?
I think 2 hours.
But it doesn't. Sure doesn't feel like that. Jeez.
So you kind of alluded to it on your story the other day. We have a segment that we call Totally Exposed, and we run it usually every Thursday show. My brother, when we first started, he's like, I'm just coming naked. I'm like, man, we can't do that. But so for you, like we wanted to make sure like we found your best video. So we wanted like we did the same thing with Micah Christensen. We actually asked them the most embarrassing moment in your volleyball career, like on court, like action that happened. If you can recall one or two of those.
The most traumatizing.
When we edit this, we'll get it and we'll be showing it here.
Oh, I can definitely send you the video. This year, someone shanked the ball, and I think we were in row 4, and I was like, I got it. And I went to go bump the ball. Little did I know, our opposite was like, I got it. And I just like bumped him in the face.
Zagrywki potrzebne, 24 zagrywki, żeby... Jaka średnia jest na...
Już
żeby
ci
złapać
mówię.
breaka?
24, tak. Punkty 4.
Czyli to wskaźnik jaki tam wychodzi?
No 6.
6, no to strasznie. A zobacz jaka to widzę, 4, 3. No i to jest 6 zagrywek, żeby zdobyć breaka. No to bardzo dużo.
Like in Poland, they have like, it's on TV and you have all the different camera angles and you can see him getting up and he's just like, mother piece of shit. Like what did he do? I just like hit him in the face and like as we're falling, I realized what I did and you could see in my eyes of like instant regret, like, I'm so sorry. Like as I'm slowly hitting the ground and then he's like getting up just like idiot, you know. But I don't know. I have a lot of goofy plays. Like I'm really not that great. Like I'm not like clean. I'm always falling when I pass. Like I gaff digs too. I get hit in the face a lot. I think it's the best way to be a great defender. You just get in the face and realize like, well, I guess it's not like that bad.
Now you're speaking Gage's language with that.
Exactly.
You know you're in the right spot. If you're getting hit in the face, you know you're in the right spot. Positioning, you're not struggling with that for sure.
So you kind of spoke about being some of the best passers in the world, and I think that you kind of it was a couple days ago when you sent me your passing course, and you sent it to me, and at first I was like, okay, he's gonna use some of the best passers and liberos in the world for kind of examples. So I was very interested because I know that the truth of things is that how do you take what the best passers in the world and what some of their attributes and apply it to someone who's maybe never played before. And I was very interested. I was like, how is he going to kind of implement that so that they understand? And I think that you did a really good job of it wasn't like the most complex thing, but it was something that you don't even realize that you do that you could apply to someone. Like you said, like who's never ever played before. And I felt that I was very, very interested by that. And there's a lot of really good information there. For those listening right there, definitely go check it out on
check that out,
Easy Buckets blog. Really, really interesting. And I'm wondering, okay, so now they have all this information. So for me, in a personal training standpoint, when I think about stuff a lot, like I don't know, I feel like I can't apply it to my game very much. So how would you take the information that was given, that you gave to the player, and how would you go about training that? And then how would you know that you've mastered this and then go on to the next one?
100%. So the best way to learn, at least from what I've read and from what I've experimented on myself, is you watch film on great players. I give the example a lot. When I was younger, when I was like 7, and I was starting to get into basketball, and I watched Kobe, and the next day, and I didn't have a coach, I didn't know how to play. Next day, I go out in the driveway, I'm doing fadeaways, right? I'm like, what? And so what I've noticed when I watch players, specifically like one player for like a certain amount of time a week, I do things like him. When I watch Sergio, I like spin my arms. When I watch Genia, I'm like getting my body around the ball. And I'll do these things in practice. I'm like, how did I know how to do that? I'm not thinking about it. I just did it. And it's because we're subconscious. Our subconscious, 95% of the time, is in control. Our subconscious is 40 million times more powerful than our conscious mind. So in the book, The Inner Game of Tennis, it's like talks about this tennis coach and his epiphany that, you know what, people learn better when you just show them how to do it rather than when you tell it. So as an athlete, you learn from watching. You learn the best people in the world. You just watch. You watch it with a curious mind. I like to kind of guide the user too, just kind of saying some things where you can look out for. But when I watch video, and when I'm in Poland, I watch anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes a day of the best liberos in the world. Anything they do, I pretty much know. I watch all the games, right? And I just watch curiously. And just every time I watch, I just learn something a little bit more. And just being very curious with the process. And when you are working on it, get the extra reps so you focus, And again, we're going to learn much better for subconscious, but we also need to do a little bit for our conscious mind. So working with it, I think holding the platform and just seeing where your body is. And then going with a couple of things I've talked about, or the couple of themes I've talked about on the passing course, the biggest thing is just space. That's all it is. Space is how you become a great passer. And there's some players like Genia or Zatorsky where they create the space by falling away. Eric does a good job creating the space by going through his legs or stepping back. And so you have to create space. There's different ways in our preparation to create more space because our arms are going to come back to our body here and they're going to come back to our body here. But once we lose space and our arms hit our body, something has to give. What is that? It's our hips, and now our angle gives as well. And so if you go watch any athlete out there and you watch your shanks, it's because usually your arms hit your platform or your arms hit your body. And so giving you different ideas to create space, and then you play with that when you're training. You play with it. It's not like something crazy. You just play with it and you notice. You don't judge, you just notice. Okay, So Inner Game of Tennis is a great book to learn about this, because he talks about the self one is the teller, and self two is just the doer, the subconscious that knows.
I think that's something that so obviously something we've talked about in the show is that, okay, your style of game, like your personal style of game, is going to be different from other people's style of game. And I think he does really, really good job of showing, okay, everyone has their kind of different styles. Like I used to try, like sometimes I try and just be like all out here, like try and perfect platform. But then it wasn't working. I was like, and I tried that for a while, and I was like, that's just not your game. Your game is going to be closer to your body. And I think you did a good job of showing, okay, this works for this guy, and he has his different techniques. There's no one technique. It's what your game is, and then that's where you got to kind of go about. Implement other stuff in it to kind of that part of the game, but don't completely, I mean, unless you really need to. If it's working, don't try and just like, and that's something I'm guilty of. I've tried to do that. Even this past year, I even kind of changed my platform out, and I was trying to be way more out here. I was like, that's just not your game, right? If it's going to the target, it's going to target, right? If you're getting better, then you're getting better. And I think you did a good job showing, okay, some guys go out here, some guys out here, some guys, it's kind of different. I think that's what most viewers and people at home have to understand. Know your game, kind of work at it, and then try to implement stuff into it. Yeah,
I like that. And then also I kind of gave it too, because now it's like more of a growth mindset, right? Where that fixed mindset's like, good pass, I'm great. Bad pass, and we're not really learning because we're just so glued to the attachment of having a good result. But when you learn from a different style, you're always kind of working like, ooh, okay, and you're not so worried about the result. And by doing that, you're going to keep on leveling up with your skill. And when your skill's leveling up, then, eventually the goals will be accomplished of a good pass. And so just always being curious and playing rather than having this like false dichotomy of like good, bad, good, bad. You're just always learning. At the end of the day, journaling. What was my biggest test today? What did I learn from it? What do I want to do differently tomorrow? Because, when you get overseas and, maybe you deal with this too in figure shop, and you have games and practices where you're just like, man, everything is going wrong. Like, this sucks. Like, and you just go home and you're just like alone, and you're just like, and you just like go to bed like bums, and you wake up the next day and you're just like bums, because your attachment's on being good, being successful, the team winning. And we put everything into those categories. And once again, we're just opening ourselves up to disappointment because we can't control that. You can put the best game of your life, but you're not going to win, and you're going to be bummed, right? And so just realizing like we can like take less suffering and have more tranquility by focusing on things in our control. And at the end of the game, we journal. What went well? What did I learn from it? What was challenging? How can I use this for next week's intention? And you're just always growing, right? It's not just going to be one season, you're done. Assuming you're into it, you're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons. And so buying more into this growth mindset and what you can control, is going to prolong your career, and you're going to get better in each day rather than just like, I hope it went well. It went bad. Hope it went well. It went well.
Yeah. And one more thing before we let you off here. One more thing I kind of want to ask you about. So we realize that you've been having some trouble with the contract in Poland. I want to kind of make sure everything's okay on your end, and wondering how that situation is going.
If you're comfortable speaking about it, no worries.
Exactly. If you're not, no worries.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. I've been lucky. This is the first time I've ever had trouble with my contract. And, I preach about a lot, surrender, right? Surrender those things outside of control. Who am I to know what the best path for me in my life is, the best path for me to serve, right? In my life, there's like kind of 4 foundations I want to work in right now. Purpose, like there's something doing, there's some purpose behind it. Throughout that day and the purpose, I have some intention. From there, service to others, and just consistently giving love back, right? And so, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. Like, my girlfriend's there. All my stuff's there. Like, it would be nice to go back. I love playing in the Plusliga. And in a weird way, it's just like, it's none of my fault, right? President's just trying to cut money. And so, I don't know. Who knows what's going to happen? My personal preference, in a weird way, is to still go back to that club. I want to go back, right? But you know what? whether it's the universe, God, Buddha, Krishna, little baby Jesus calling the shots up there, puppeting everything. Who knows? Like, who knows who it is? But you know what? I think there is some like more infinite intelligence that knows a little bit better than me and how I can be best of service along my path. So during this, it's very easy to feel that pull and to get sucked into it and to be like, this sucks, this is wrong. And just using my platform to be like, you know what? Like, I'm not going to fight back with anger or resistance, stuff like that. For sure, I am going to fight back because that's what's right, not only for me, but for other players in fighting corruption and character like this. You know, it has no place in the volleyball world, but is very common in the volleyball world. So I'm going to fight, and who knows what's going to happen, but whatever happens is going to be the best case scenario for me going forward.
Right. Dustin, this has been very informative, hopefully for the viewers at home, and especially for us. And it seems like you're probably in the most high hopes I've seen anyone in this situation, this recent situation here. So I commend you for that, and hopefully people can uptake a different mindset in this, in any trouble, in any aspect of their life. So I wish you the best of luck. I know you got the blog going, you got the passing course, so go check that out.
No easy buckets.
On your Instagram, follow on Instagram, Twitter, the whole thing. You know, very, very informative human being and a very open-minded human being, and we appreciate everything that you're doing.
I would say go the opposite way. I say unfollow me, delete Instagram, and just live your life.
There you go.
Wow.
You heard from the man himself.
Love it. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Like accounts are like turn on notifications. I saw that one time. I was like, hey, if you have your notifications turned on for me, turn them off. Like, do something better. But I know, you know what? And at first, when I had Instagram, I have another profile for those that you think you can find it. I have another profile when I was younger, and it was just like I hated Instagram. I was like, hashtag this is stupid. Hashtag Instagram is lame. Like, it's so dumb. But you know what? Those are eyes are gonna be. And so you know what? If I can share, not where I've succeeded, but share my lessons of failure for other kids that, you know, are ready to run through a wall. Like, Gage, I know you're ready to run through a wall. I've seen you play. You know what? But with the right information, the information I've learned throughout all my failures and setbacks, you can go over the wall of half the time and be your best version of yourself quicker. Do what you love easier. And so I think that's for me is the value, and especially during this time, maybe Max knows this, but this thought more fati, to love one's fate, right? You know, getting my contract cut, good. What opportunities is open to me? Not getting paid, good. Now I have to make my own business, whatever, you know, rather than resisting it, resenting it, being anger, being frustration, having that frustration, because it doesn't just stop with that external circumstance. It's also going to bleed into other parts of your life, your family, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, right? And so I think the toughest thing we can do is to be like, great, freaking love it. And then whatever's on your plate, you do it to your best of your ability, right? When you surrender, it's not just like, all right, whatever, it happens, and just like, I just surrender to everything. It's like, you just surrender. You're fatalistic to the past and the present. You're not fatalistic to the future, right? The futuristic is still in play. Whatever you want to do, it's still in play. The past is done with, and the present, you know, pretty much what had happened is also in the past. And so it's being fatalistic to the past and the present, accepting it, great, love it, accept it, surrender to it. And now, for more moving forward to the future, we go to work. That's when we go to work.
Respect. Dustin,
Love to hear it.
namaste. Thank you very much.
You're
Namaste,
awesome.
my
Thank
brother.
you. Yeah, I mean, a guy like that, he's been through so much, and we referenced it a little bit. He's dealing with something that I'm sure is probably one of the hardest things he might have had to deal with in his career, but he handles it so well. I mean, the club literally just cut his contract. He played the season. Everything is out of his control. The virus came in, and they just cut his contract. And so it was really unfortunate thing. And when this happens, usually you have to go through FIVB court, which is the international governing body of volleyball for like national teams and clubs. But he's probably dealing with that right now. And, you know, the biggest thing, like I talk about a lot on the show, I talk about a lot when I speak to teams, is accountability. That's the biggest thing he spoke, is like being accountable for your own actions, for your own performance, for how you treat yourself, and not allowing stuff that's out of your control to affect you. And so for me, I mean, it just kind of reinforced that thing. I think a lot of good stuff was gone over there, and it was cool to have him on, though. I'm really glad we finally got him on.
I hope you like the song that I made.
Oh, we forgot to ask him about that.
I
I'll text
know,
him. Like,
yeah.
hey, I don't know if you like the song or not. That was so sick. That when you sampled that. But hopefully he sees it like a cool thing. I mean, he's a chill guy. There's no way he's not going to like it. But he sees everything as an opportunity, and that's one thing you got to respect from the guy. I mean, that's like a kind of we've had great guests, but that's like the first interview that made you like afterwards you know like kind of like stop and like think about what he's saying.
There's just so much there. The process is awesome though.
There's a lot. You give him the floor, and he's really got a lot on his mind. So it's interesting to
For sure.
hear what he's got to say.
A lot of interesting stuff.
I love bringing people on though who are like really passionate. That's like those have been my favorite interviews. It doesn't even have to be totally about volleyball, just something in general. I just enjoy people who are like really passionate about things, and so that was really cool. Though he knows everything we brought up, he knows very well, and you can tell. But you go ahead, give him a follow. Go check out his No Easy Buckets page,
Or don't give him a follow.
Or don't, like you said, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. I say namaste to our listeners out there. And this has been another episode of Out of System.